Hello, today I'm going to show how to install Raspbian on Raspberry Pi, completely headless with no keyboard, mouse or monitor. You're just going to use your computer and SSD card. I'm not going to show how to install it with a wireless connection. So you're going to need a LAN cable, Ethernet cable. So first of all, you have to go on raspberrypi.org/software and download the imager, or if you use Ubuntu or Linux pretty much, you can go and install this one with this command in the terminal. I already have that imager, so I'm not going to download and install now. As soon as you have it, you can choose your operating system. You can use many operating systems. However, our operating system, because I'm gonna set up a web server, then I'm gonna upload web application, and I'm gonna access it from everywhere in the world after that. I'm gonna use light version of Raspbian, which is here in Outdoor. As soon as you choose it, then you have to go and choose your SD card. I have only one. Then you do the right. I'll come back after it installed. So now, as soon as this is done, you can remove your SSD card, and you have to put it again, because you have to prepare your Raspberry Pi for SSH connection, because we're not going to use any monitors out there. Now, as soon as you plug it in, you should have that folder called boot. Inside your folder, you should put file called SSH. You have to remove the extension txt. Now, this is file name extension change, and you have to say yes. Now, in order to see that, you may go on view and check this file name extension. Otherwise, you're just gonna make it txt, and this is not gonna work. So now I'm gonna remove that memory and go plug it to my Raspberry Pi, and coming back in a second. Now, as soon as I have this on my Raspberry Pi, I give it a couple of minutes just to boot. Now I'm gonna go in my router. Everyone have a different router, and you have to look for DHCP settings in order to put that IP address all the time. Whenever you are booting that Raspberry Pi, you need that Raspberry Pi to get same IP every time. So this is my Raspberry Pi 3, and this is the rules. You can add rule as many as you want. I've got only 2. This is my Raspberry Pi 3, and this is my Raspberry Pi 4. We're doing that now on Raspberry Pi 4, and this is the IP address which I've added already the rule here, and apply changes. So as soon as you do that, we can go to the next step, which is connecting to the Raspberry Pi via your PowerShell. You can do that with PowerShell, or you can install like Ubuntu on your computer. If you have a Windows subsystem for Linux, you can use this one. I'm gonna stick to Windows at the minute, but the command is same. So we have to connect with SSH. This is the name, which is Pi, and then we have to put our IP address, which is 192.168.0.21. Now, as soon as you press enter, because you're getting there in first time, and it's asking you, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Then you just type yes, and it's gonna ask you for the password. On every Raspberry Pi, or Raspbian, I mean, by default is Raspbian, and as soon as you're getting connected, wait a second. I'm getting something wrong. Wait a second, I'm just gonna check. Yeah, my bad. So the password is Raspberry, and I'm getting inside. Now, what you have to do is you have to go into the configuration file. Now you are in your Raspberry Pi actually, and you have to do your configuration now. So the configuration is gonna be yeah, okay. Now you have to type raspberry config raspberry config. Oh, come on. Raspberry config. Yeah, raspberry config. So raspberry config. No, it's not happening. I'll check and come back in a sec. Now, to enter in that configuration menu, you have to just type sudo raspberry config. Now, you have to use your boot options. Now, choose whether to boot in desktop environment. You have to do B1. Now, you need that auto login all the time in the console, because as soon as we reboot now, we're gonna have a problems in our second entering. Now you're gonna use this one, and this is everything you need to know. You can change your password. I'll change the password. Okay. Now you can finish and you can reboot. Now sudo reboot. I forgot that sudo all the time because I'm more used to the Windows. Let's give it 15 seconds to reboot. Now I can try again. Well, it takes some time. Let's not forget Raspberry Pi is a bit slower than regular computer. Now we are inside in our headless Raspberry Pi. The next step we have to do is Docker. Now let's start with Docker. Now all I have to do is run a few commands. I have some cheat sheets here, and I'm gonna paste this in the comments as well. So first of all, we have to do update and upgrade. I'm not sure if we can do that in the same time. Yeah, we can. We're gonna wait for a second. I'm trying to be as specific as possible. When I try first to do that on my Raspberry Pi 3, I've installed a lot of programs, and I'm just looking for very clean installation, so we're gonna be able to run as smooth as possible, and we don't need everything under the sun in our Raspberry Pi, just whatever we need for that server, and it's not that much as I have on my other Raspberry Pi, which was my first project. Now this one is, I'm gonna use that to upload my work which I'm doing in the college at the moment, and That's why I'm doing it actually. Let's wait a second to install updates and upgrades. I'm gonna come back. Now this is ready. The next one is to install Docker. So we'll use this one. Now it may take some time as well. I'll see if it's not too long. I'm not gonna pause the video every time. However, guys, if you have any sound problems, you can use this program called Crisp. It's helped me a lot. It's still installing. I'm gonna pause that for a bit. Now this is done, and in order to check if everything is successful, we're just gonna paste Docker version here. Oops, sorry. We have Docker now installed. We can do sudo docker ps. Cannot connect to Docker daemon. Now, most of the times I'm experiencing that one, and this is when your Docker daemon is not starting, and this is something very often when you're running Linux, and I'm gonna show you how to overcome this problem now. Alright, so what I've done is I've cheated a bit. I've seen my other Raspberry Pi because this is Linux and can save all the commands run. So what I've done is I do that start service Docker. Sorry, sudo start service Docker. Yeah, so sudo systemctl start Docker. Then, as soon as this is done, you have to run sudo service docker start, and you have to reboot your system. So sudo reboot. Now, you may experience different problem. I'm not experiencing that all the time. It depends. So just be prepared. You can Google the problem. It's not that hard to overcome. So now we are going to try to connect again, and hopefully it's going to work now. Just give it a second. Yeah, now entering the password and you're in. You can go in bash with sudo bash. In that mode you don't have to type sudo every time, so you can just do docker ps, and there is no containers running at the moment. So next step which I'm gonna do is I'm going to prepare my program in Visual Studio. I have my library management program here. I have some stuff to do here. However, I'm not going to do it now. I'm just going to show you how to publish. Now, in order to publish with Docker, if I go back and because I didn't add that to source control, and I cannot go back now, but I can show you now. When you have only the solution, only the program, now you have to right click, add container orchestration support, and then you're gonna choose Docker Compose, and Docker Compose gonna be available here. It's not for me now because I have it already. Then you press OK, and it's gonna create that Docker Compose file for you. After that, you have to go here and just change the port. I'm just gonna go to port 8000, and if you don't have this one and you have it like that, don't worry about it. You just go 8000.443, and that's it. Now, next step, what I'm gonna do is I have to go and put that in my Raspberry Pi. So I'm gonna stop the video now, and I'm gonna use my USB memory stick to put into the Raspberry Pi, and I'm gonna come back after. I forgot to mention, maybe not everyone know how to do it, so I'm gonna show it step by step. Usually, Visual Studio save your project in source folder unless you change it. So you're gonna expect this one to be in users, C, users. This is my folder, George. Then you go to source, repos, and you're gonna find your solution here. So I'm gonna copy this whole folder, and I'm gonna use, I have a flash memory with Windows. However, I've done a folder here called my web app. I'm gonna paste it. It's gonna take some time. Then I'm gonna unplug this memory, and I'm going straight to the Raspberry Pi. And then I'm gonna show you how to find it. Copy, paste, and run it. So now in order, I put my stick, and now we can go and have a look now. So I put my cheat sheets here. I can't remember everything. So I'm gonna clear the console. Then we're gonna copy this command here. This is where you have to see what is actually mounted in your Raspberry Pi. And do bash again. Sudo bash. So copy this one. Now you can see you have SDA 1, where SDA 1, and you can check if you run this one, and then stop it and run it again, you're gonna see what is new. I know already because I've tried it, and this is like Corsair Voyager 3.0, and this is the one I have. So SDA 1, this is in my situation. So I'm gonna make directory so I can mount somewhere. I'm gonna stop the process now with Control and C. Now I'm gonna make directory here. I'm gonna make new folder, USB stick in media. File exists, yeah, that's a bit file exists because I have it already. I'm gonna mount the USB stick now. This is the way. Copy, paste, mount. It's already mounted on media USB stick. Now, in your situation, it's not gonna give you anything. It's just gonna run the new one. So don't worry about it. Now you have to go to that directory, and you're going with following command. Now you are in USB stick. Now you can look here, and I am gonna have that folder, my web app, as I showed before. Now I'm gonna change directory to my web app. Now I have to copy everything now to I have to copy everything to library management. From library management to my hard drive. Let me check something. Okay, now we have to copy all the files, and this is simple. In Linux it's only with cp, so I'm gonna use cp /media /USB stick /my web app, and I'm gonna copy to home /pi. Yep, and I'll just press enter. Transfer omitting directory. CPR not specified. That's so weird. Let me check if actually I can go to home right now. Yeah, but I don't have it, so I think I have something wrong here. So cp 2 home /5 not specified -. I'll check what it is and I'll come back. Now, yeah, I'll just check. I have to put that AVR. I mean, it's not necessary. A is to copy all the folders, subfolders. This is verbose output, and this is recursively. So I'm gonna do just cp, and then I'm just gonna put -avr, and that should work now. Now I'm in the same directory, and I'm gonna check, and I'm gonna go to my web app. Now I have library management there, and I'm gonna go in library management 16550. Okay, just gonna check. Let me click this ones. So I have Docker Compose here now. Okay, what's gonna happen now? I'm gonna run Docker Compose up. Docker Compose command not found. Okay, Docker PS. Yeah, okay, we have it. Okay, something weird happened. It was working before. Now we have to install Docker Compose, because when you're installing on Linux, only Docker is installed, and you can run some Docker containers, but you cannot run Docker Compose. And I'm gonna use this one to make Docker Compose. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna try to do Docker Compose up using the line1 not commands. Line1 not command not found. Very interesting. Docker Compose -. Yep, I'll try to debug this one. So what I've done is I just use apt install docker compose, which it works for me. And now I have it installed. Now I'm gonna check if I'm in the right directory. I'm gonna try docker compose up, and it might finally work. I was not prepared for everything, but I overcome it by reading some posts and some stuff from the official documentation. I'm gonna post this one as well, and now hopefully by the end of this preparation we're gonna have a working site. And then the next step, which I'm gonna show you while this is working, is we have to forward the port. So I'm gonna have, I should go into my router. Now next step which you have to do is, when we have incoming connection from outside, we need to forward the port. So I'm gonna show you how this is happening. Port forwarding. No. Okay. So now I'm gonna create new rule. So the local IP is 21, and I've started on 8000. It's a range of ports, but I'm gonna use 8000 only. So the external start port is up to you. So I'm gonna start it on 16550 because this is my number, and this is my number on my coursework. So I'm gonna use the same number, 16550. Protocol, I'm gonna use both protocols, and I'm gonna enable. Then I'm gonna add the rule. Hopefully it's gonna be faster. Now let me see if this is working. Service I remain how to build the command bin shc.net restore. Okay, return unknown zero code. So .NET restore is causing me problems. Because I'm doing that for the first time and I'm debugging on Go. My first project was simple application, which I just download. It's like Docker Hello World, simple as that. It's ASP.NET application. We just you just run with Docker. You don't do Docker compose there, and it's simple. But now I'm trying to achieve something bigger, so that's why I have to debug on Go, and I'm going to try to see why this is happening, and I'm going to come. Okay, after a couple of minutes of checking my code, and what I noticed, and maybe that's going to be helpful for everyone, when I build my Docker Compose, in my Docker file is actually saying workdir source, and I don't have that folder anymore. So this is no longer the case, and now it's source library management. Now what I have to do is just remove source, or I can make a source folder. I'm going to try first to remove source, which To be honest, I don't think that's gonna work. Okay, in PowerShell, you just have to type nano. So what you have to do is you have to go to the library management folder, and then to library management folder. After that you have to open Docker file. So nano dot, not dot, sorry, Docker file, and now you have access to your Docker file. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna change source, and then I'm gonna change source again, and I hope this is gonna work. And how to save it, just have to okay, exit, save modified buffer, yes, Control X, Y, I never looked at it. And to A, this is very weird for me now. Okay, so append, prepend. Okay, this is not going to work. And what I can do is I can make just that folder source, because otherwise I'm gonna be stuck, and or I have to go and take the micro SD card from my Raspberry Pi, and it's gonna be slower, which I prefer to not do it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna CP. Okay, so I'm gonna CP minus just area minus AV. Okay, that's good. Have to make directory first. Actually, I'm gonna rename that my web app to src. Yep. Okay, so I'm not gonna write this one as an instruction, but I'm gonna go out of the directory. Now I have my web app, so I'm gonna do mv /by/my web app to actually this one, by my web app to home /pi/ what was src, and I think I need super here, so I'm not super user now. Okay, now here. Okay, now it's source cd src, here cd library, here, okay, sudo docker what is talking luckily okay, so the bash. So it's gonna give me something here. Docker compose. But I think I have already heard it. On the right directory. Let me see if Docker is running actually. Docker. Yes. Yes, Docker is running. Library management. Docker. No, this is not possible. There's a local bin Docker compose. Line 1, not common. Okay, I'll try to debug this one as well. And okay, so after a couple of hours debugging, I've tried to figure out. So I reboot Raspberry Pi. Then I've apt-get install. This is dependencies. First of all, we install the dependencies. Then we install Python 3 PIP. After that, I've installed. I run this command, which is removing Python configure razor. I don't know what it is. Then pipe 3 install Docker compose, and now I run Docker compose version, and it's saying Docker compose version 1.27.4. So now I hope this is gonna work, and I'm going to change directory to home pi and src. Here I have library management there, and now I can do. Let's try Docker compose version again, because yeah, should work. And now Docker compose up. Yeah, and now it's running, but it's giving me again error, which means that changing the folder is not solving my problem. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try something different now, because that service library management failed to build. Let's restore. I'll try to figure out how to overcome this problem now. It takes me a couple of hours to make this 39 minutes video now, but I'm going to do until I release. So I'm gonna check now, and I'm gonna come back, because I think I should have .NET installed on my Raspberry Pi. I've decided to download it. The steps I take is I follow the link with the latest .NET Core 3.1, because my program was made it before .NET 5, and now all my dependencies, everything is on .NET 3. I've tried to update, and looks like you cannot migrate. is not easy to migrate to .NET 5. You should probably start your or I cannot migrate yet. I don't have that skills. So what I've done is I find it in Linux ARM binaries and I copy the link. Then I follow this tutorial, which I'm gonna put in the links. So what they've done is you download it, then you make directory, and I'm gonna just copy this one here and I'm gonna put it as installing .NET. I'm gonna delete this one, and you just do this command following with the link, that the way you are downloading, then you're making your directory .NET. After that you are unzipping the directory, the file in that directory, and after that you're exporting it, so it's gonna work in the whole, not only in that directory, it's gonna work everywhere. I'm gonna copy and paste this one so I can use it later on. After that, to use it not only on this session, I'm following these steps and I'm copying and pasting this one. Now my Docker is running. I have .NET. I can check .NET --, version, and I have 3.1, which is the latest one before 5. I also have Docker compose --, I think this is just version version. Okay. Looks like this Docker compose is always making the problems. However, Docker is working. Okay. Let me check something. What I've done is I run again that Python 3 pipe install UI Docker compose, because looks like that Docker compose is making problems all the time, and I'm thinking that Docker compose is not the best solution for Raspberry Pi, not at least not at this moment. I have another idea for using Docker compose container. I'm not sure if there is any. I've read some random posts here and there. There might be a Docker compose container, so you can like a spin container, and then you're gonna have that Docker compose, which is gonna be very good. But I'm gonna make another video for this one because it's getting too long now. I'm gonna try to overcome this problem now so I can publish my website in 1 hour. So I'm just gonna wait this one to finish now. Okay, so using official Docker documentation, I will try to build my image now, and I'm not gonna use Docker compose, so I'm gonna Docker build. So Docker build, and this I'm gonna call 16550 up. And the text evaluate symlink in Docker format. Compile Docker file message. Okay, I may not be in the proper directory, so here cd library. Sorry. And I'm gonna try again. Okay, now it's running. Now it's fail again. No such file or directory. I don't know why this is happening all the time. I have file library main. Oh, this is the file, and it's failing on it. However, I'm gonna try to publish with .NET then. So minus publish. Let me see. So after a couple of tries, I didn't succeed with Docker. I have to change something in Docker file, which I don't understand yet. I'm gonna consult with my teacher, Stoyan Chershar, tomorrow, and I'm gonna ask him what have to be done. However, meanwhile, I'm gonna publish the other way. I'm gonna just .NET build. Oh, I have typo. .NET build, and after .NET build, I'm gonna do .NET publish. Okay, this is successful, and I'm gonna have .NET publish. So now I can do .NET run, and this is gonna basically run the application, and it's gonna run on port 5001, which means I have to change now the routing, and I'm gonna change the routing from here. So now I'm gonna change port forwarding, and I'm gonna add basically new rule, because I'm just gonna save this rule for later on when I find solution for that. And I'm gonna local start port 5001 and 5001. External start port we got to 16555, and same downstairs. But enable, we're gonna add the rules. So now my application gonna be up and running. I can basically check from here on localhost 5001. Actually, this localhost on my computer. Just so 21 16555, and now we should have the application. Should be HTTPS. Okay. Yeah, I forgot this is 5001. I'll try. So this is 5001. 1655 is for external use. I'm surprised. 021. I don't know why this is happening now. And something else I want to mention here, which I'm gonna try now to play a bit with the Docker file. I found in Visual Studio Code there is a option you can developing remotely. So you make sure you have that extension, remote SSH. Then you can, by pressing Ctrl Shift and P, and if you type SSH, then you have to connect to host. Then you're choosing your host, and after that you press the password and you are in, basically. I don't know if I open another one. Yeah, I have too many of these now. So I'm in the computer basically now with so I have that home Pi, and I'm going in source, library management 16550. Actually I don't have to go that much. I can open folder, source, and here. That's it. Now press now. Yeah, ask me for password. Okay, now I'm inside and I'm remotely developing. So what problem we have now is, do you want to install recommend extension? Yes, sure, no problems. Go for it. So in this Docker file, I have problem with installing, with copying and restore. So what I was thinking is, I'm gonna play a bit with the paths now, to avoid these debugging problems, and you don't have to watch it. I'm gonna pause the video, I'm gonna play a bit, and if I have a solution, I'm gonna show you my solution. Now after I'm connected, in order to save, because if you try to save, it's gonna run with error. Let's say you change something, I just uncomment this line, and when I press Ctrl and S, it's not gonna save, it's gonna give you an error. Now you have to just specify your path, which in our situation is gonna be with user Pi, and then the path is home, Pi, and source. Now you're gonna be able to modify everything in that folder, source. So now I can develop here, which is very good, and I have to find out if there is actually something similar for Visual Studio. So let's see now what we can do. Now in order to debug in a remote environment, I have to install some updates here. So I've run this one now, and now that's gonna allow me to debug. Now install on the target computer, install Linux ARM, which build.NET Core runtime. So I'm just gonna install this one. Now this is now your application. I mean, they just give a sample of application now. Okay, let's try now to debug. It's still running here. Okay, exit now. Let's see. Now exit file. Now I'm gonna just run. Oh, it's running actually. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop and try to run again. Not just multiples here, this one is something like that. So multiples here. No quick fixes relevant. I'm just gonna comment this one. So I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna control F now. From yep. Tell me Blazer what? Now how I'm gonna try to debug is by commenting some items in Docker file. So the first one I'm gonna comment, because what I'm gonna do is I'll try to not copy, and I'll just comment this one. Now I'm gonna run and save, and I'm gonna run docker compose up. Now I start building, and it's gonna ignore .NET restore, which makes me a problem. I think that that's not gonna be the only problem which I'm gonna have. However, why not give it a go? Let's see now, because looks like cannot find this CS proj file, and let's just see what's going on. So I partly overcome the problem with changing the work directory. Now work directory is home by and source. Now my project is going well with however is failing on the build now. I've tried with git bash. It says failed to build. Because I've already run publish and build, I suggest I'm gonna have same issues now, but sorry, but I didn't find a solution for that problem, and I'm just gonna finish now, and as soon as I find solution I'm gonna make another video for it. So this is gonna be part 1, and the only thing which left to do is debug that working directories, and where to copy from and where to go, because this is the problem here and I don't understand it very well. So yeah, bye.